in Gaza.
Now, you examined patients on your last day who had been held by Israel and were returned to Gaza as part of this ceasefire deal. What did you see when you examined them?
Every single Palestinian captive that I saw around 40 of them total. Every single one had signs of very advanced malnutrition, even more advanced malnutrition than some of the patients I'd been seeing in Gaza, actually. Completely wasted away. There's very little muscle mass left, very little strength even in being able to walk over to the examining table. Each one had scabies infection, which is like a skin infection that occurs in very overcrowded jail and prison environments. Mm-hmm. They reported to me that they were forced to drink toilet water. They were given kind of the minimum amount of food to survive, maybe around one meal a day. And as they got closer to their release, they reported increasing levels of physical attacks and abuse.
Did you see signs of that on their bodies?
I did, actually, yeah. In examining them, I felt like rib cages that were chronically deformed from fractures. I saw one young Palestinian whose right
That's
arm
sad
was
for
completely deformed
one human being to decide the nutritional input or the nutritional intake of another. You decide the health of another. Like, that's not your motherfucking child. You have no business interfering with this guy's survivability. That's just wrong, bro. Now, as an African American, I don't typically have a view or an opinion concerning that situation, just that human beings are being affected, and I'm hearing about it. It's so sad. Special shout out to the people who survived the transatlantic slave trade. Yo, we praying for Jamaica too. We're definitely praying for Jamaica. I saw not Port-au-Prince, that's Haiti. Excuse me. I saw Kingston the other day. Kingston was completely underwater, man. We have to do something about this. So sad. Listen to this. It clearly states, due to the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa in October 2025, the total numbers of victims in Jamaica is still being assessed, and figures are expected to rise. However, preliminary reports have indicated the following. Victims related to Hurricane Melissa, fatalities, it goes on and on and on. Nothing very specific, but definitely pray for Jamaica. Pray for all the Caribbean.
Surgeon General gets delayed after she goes into labor. And California farmers say the Republican congressman understands them, and they don't want a Democratic redistricting plan that could change that. It's Thursday, October 30th. On this day in 1974, Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle.
Hey, I love this station. This is NPR News. I do not own the rights to this, but check this shit out. Listen to what they're talking about.
Will dramatically restrict gender-affirming care for transgender youth. As NPR's Selena Simmons-Duffin exclusively reports, these rules are being prepared for release in early November.
The two proposed rules use Medicaid to try to force hospitals and doctors not to provide gender-affirming care for young people. One of the rules prohibits them from getting reimbursed for patients receiving this care who are covered by Medicaid. NPR obtained the draft text of this rule. The other rule is even more sweeping. It would make not providing gender-affirming care for youth a condition for a hospital to get Medicare and Medicaid payments at all. The new rules would not go into effect immediately, but there has already been a chilling effect on access to the care. Gender-affirming care, including puberty blockers, hormones, and rarely surgery, is not against any federal law, but it has been banned in 27 states in recent years. Selena Simmons-Duffin, NPR News, Washington.
Okay,
stocks opened mixed this morning after President Trump's much-hyped meeting.
We've got way too much control of other people's bodies and the illnesses that are developing other people. We've got way too much control of that. We're playing God at this point.
This was President Trump's first face-to-face meeting with his Chinese counterpart since returning to office, and it seems to have produced at least a partial thaw in trade tensions between the world's two biggest economies. Trump says China's agreed to end its boycott of U.S. soybeans and ease export restrictions on rare earth minerals. For his part, Trump's lowering the tariff on imports from China, although Chinese goods will still be taxed at an average rate of nearly 50%. Stocks were lower overnight in both Shanghai and Hong Kong. Stocks rose slightly in Tokyo as the Bank of Japan held interest rates steady. Here in the U.S., the Federal Reserve lowered its benchmark interest rate by a quarter point, but raised doubts about an additional cut at the next Fed meeting in December. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says the U.S. military has destroyed another boat in the Eastern Pacific. He says 4 people were killed in the latest attack, as NPR's Quill Lawrence reports.
Hegseth posted a video on social media showing a small motorboat exploding. He said the boat, like more than a dozen others destroyed in recent weeks, was smuggling narcotics toward the United
others. Did you catch that? Wow, they out there assaulting people on the water. So y'all get y'all cameras ready. If you see some illegal activity, we ain't able to do shit. We can't do anything about it. Only thing we can do is band together. I heard a lady spill some shit this morning. She says, hey, the government is dividing the black and brown community on purpose, taking power from both groups. So together we're stronger, of course. You know, divided we fall. So divided we fall. You divide the two groups into half without the other. So how they started it was they started demonizing Mexicans online before the assault even started. So as you demonize him, you make an African American and Asians and other, bipartial white people and Indians and shit. We ain't gonna mention them. Okay. You start making them feel like, hey, they're fucking thieves. You see what they're doing with brothers online. So you gotta be prepared of what's about to happen with black people. All y'all wondering like what's going on. It started a long time ago. Guy fired hundreds of thousands of black women. Hundreds of thousands of black women in his first quarter of being president. This isn't even a quarter. It's the first month or so. You got to pay attention, Black America, Brown America. Don't be ignorant all your life. They've demonized us so bad that when it's time for them to come get our asses, ain't nobody gonna say anything. Our own people gonna turn us in. Ain't nobody gonna be able to say shit or do anything about it because we allowed him to do the Mexican the way that he did them, bro. So now the Mexican has a personal vendetta against not just the government, but black people too. Social media made it easy for you to just hop online and just say what you needed to say, but had no actions behind those words. So, he has every right to cut the water off on your ass or whatever type of water he was giving you. It may not be anything that he can do for us financially, but he's a very resourceful person. We can all agree on that. Now, he's got his own country. He's got his own country with his own states and his own cartel and his own government. They got a female president. Mexico is a thriving country. Black Americans would love to call Mexico our second home. I mean, hell, we've got connections, just as much connections to Mexico as our Mexican counterparts. Vicente Guerrero. But due to whitewashing, he's no longer relevant, I guess. I mean, look at it, bro. Listen, you've been so demonized that the guy won't even apologize or acknowledge that if it did happen, in which I don't tend to believe. I don't believe this shit happened. I don't believe that this transatlantic slave trade occurred. I don't think so. I really, really don't think so. I can prove it in just a second. Give me a second, let me get back to my secondary device and I will show you. Hey, Pooch. I myself honestly believe and can prove that African Americans are descendants of the Malian Empire. Mali, Mansa Musa. Check out this wormhole. Who was Mansa Musa's predecessor?
Mansa Musa's predecessor was Muhammad ibn Qais. Some sources mistakenly identify Abu Bakr too, but this is due to a mistranslation. Muhammad ibn Qais abdicated his throne to lead an expedition.
Now that was different. Let me see if I can find the other video, or not video. Let me find the other quote that I just got from this phone. Who was the predecessor of Mansa Musa?
Mansa Musa's predecessor was Mansa Muhammad ibn Qais. He reportedly disappeared while leading an expedition into the Atlantic Ocean, which is why Musa became ruler. Some sources mistakenly identify Mansa Abu Bakr II, but this is a mistranslation.
I thought that we were talking about Abu Bakr too, but we are not. We're talking about Muhammad. They say Muhammad from the Malian Empire came to the... Listen, what is the story of Mansa Muhammad from Mali?
The search results focus on Mansa Musa, who is often confused with Mansa Muhammad. You might also find information about Mansa Muhammad ibn Qais, who came before him.
How did Mansa Musa become Mansa?
Mansa Musa became ruler of the Mali Empire in 1312. His predecessor, Mansa Muhammad ibn Qais, had appointed Musa as his deputy. Musa then became ruler after his predecessor disappeared on a voyage to explore the Atlantic Ocean and never returned.